Our top story, the revolving door at the White House may not be done revolving. After a week of shakeups that included the ousting of Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, there are signs more are on the way. CBS's Hinadoba explains.
During a recent stretch that has already seen its fair share of comings and goings at the White House, the latest to step in, CNBC television contributor Larry Kudlow. He was named director of the National Economic Council, replacing Gary Cohn, who announced last week he was stepping down.
The president has given me a chance. I love it. I'm honored by it. I'm honored to serve my country. That's a great dream.
To date, more than 20 senior administration staffers have either been fired, resigned, or reassigned. This was the president Tuesday, shortly after pushing out Secretary of State Rex Tillerson.
I'm really at a point where we're getting very close to having the cabinet and other things that I want.
Three others who may be on the hot seat are Secretary of Veterans Affairs and Obama-era holdover David Shulkin. In February, the Inspector General determined Shulkin and his wife used taxpayer dollars on a lavish trip to Europe. He paid the money back after the findings were made public. Sources say President Trump and National Security Advisor Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster have been clashing over policy. His departure has been expected for weeks. And Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Ben Carson is facing some scrutiny for picking out a $31,000 dining room set for his office. The order was eventually canceled. Hinadoba, CBS News.
And if McMaster is among the next to go, President Trump is reportedly eyeing former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, John Bolton, to replace him. Also in this morning's headlines, thousands of students across the country walked out of school yesterday to protest gun violence. The event came 1 month after Nicholas Cruz allegedly killed 17 students and teachers at a Florida high school. Cruz entered a not guilty plea during a court appearance on Wednesday. The Billings protest was a peaceful and safe moment for students to express their feelings. Hundreds of Billings students chanted and held signs, joining the national walkout. For every student who walked out, there were hundreds more who stayed inside. They say, like everyone else, they believe in safer schools, but don't believe gun control is the answer. Following the walkout, students filed back into class.
We are the voice that is going to make this change, and we're the students who have to deal with this every day.
We didn't know what to expect, really, and so I thought it was really amazing to look back and just see so many people. When I left my classroom, there were just kids rushing the halls, and I got really emotional. It was so amazing to see this.
School District 2 officials who work closely with student leaders during the process praise the student body for how they conducted the moment. And students aren't the only ones honoring the victims of the Parkland High School shooting. As Q2's Asia Gore shows us, a round of artists is honoring the memory of the 17 victims and keeping their spirits alive with portraits.
Her heritage is Irish. I think she's first or second generation. She did the Irish dancing.
Roundup artist Koala Evans knows her subject, 14-year-old Cara Loughran, in intimate detail.
I got the paint a little too thick.
Loughran is one of the 17 victims killed in the Parkland High School shooting. While Evans didn't personally know Loughran, or any of the victims for that matter, these portraits are personal.
As I learned about these students that were so brave and courageous, I felt like I had to honor them.
Evans took what she read about each victim and began using a paintbrush to tell their stories, starting with 15-year-old Peter Wang.
So I finished it, and through that process of learning who he was and the tremendous sacrifice that he made and what courage he had, that was pretty huge.
It's an emotional process. Immortalizing each victim on canvas takes hours of focus, blurred only by tears.
I research one person at a time, and I find their photograph online and then try to find out more about them, maybe through their own friends' comments or their families or the obituary. And I really think about who they were as a person and what they meant to people.
And after sharing her work online, Evans now knows exactly what these paintings mean to the families.
He was a young man, and his brother reached out to me, and that's been pretty powerful.
Nothing can bring them back, But with each stroke of her brush, Evans ensures these students and teachers won't be forgotten. In Roundup, I'm Asia Gore, MTN News.
And the artist says she hopes this series honors the victims and sparks discussion. Turning to Crime Watch, an 18-year-old man is in jail after he allegedly robbed two Billings businesses right next to each other. Billings police say Tyler Espinoza walked into Golden Corral on 24th Street West just after 3 o'clock Wednesday. He showed a box cutter to an employee, demanded money, and then fled. But he didn't go far. Just 3 minutes later, an employee from Barnes & Noble called police with the same story. Espinoza fled the bookstore with all the cash in the till, but in that time, police had converged on the area and made the arrest. Well, starting today, there will be increased law enforcement presence in Billings and across the state. This comes just a few days before the St. Patrick's Day holiday. Data shows nationally, one person dies in an alcohol-related crash every 50 minutes. But the numbers also show the number of fatalities increase on St. Patrick's Day. Between 2012 and 2016, 269 lives were lost over the St. Patrick's Day holiday weekend. In Montana, this high-risk period starts on Thursday and runs through the weekend. The best plan is to arrange a designated driver if you plan to drink. Elsewhere, the bankruptcy case of the Great Falls Billings Catholic Diocese takes a historic turn. After almost a year of trying to reach a settlement, the church has filed a motion to dismiss its Chapter 11 bankruptcy case. The church filed for the protection a year ago in a move it hoped would develop a compensation fund for victims of sexual abuse that took place over decades, mostly in rural and reservation parishes dating back to the 1950s. After mediation and sessions and informal discussions, the diocese says there is little chance of reaching a settlement while in bankruptcy. Jim Stang, an attorney for the plaintiffs, did not comment on the motion to dismiss. He says he's meeting with state court lawyers and plaintiffs to determine how they will respond. Late last year, the group representing the victims filed a lawsuit claiming as much as $70 million in church assets, including 14 parishes, should be included in the bankruptcy estate. Toy store giant Toys R Us is taking out the batteries and calling it a day after 70 years, leaving 33,000 jobs at risk. The company will shut or sell all of its nearly 800 stores in the United States. That includes the store here in Billings, which opened in 1992. A local employee tells Q2 there's no announced timeline, but it took about 2 months for the first 180 closures last fall. The company, which hasn't made a full profit since 2012, filed for bankruptcy in September. The emergence of big box retailers and online shopping led to its demise, along with a mountain of debt estimated at $5 billion at the time of its bankruptcy.